Okay, welcome to episode 20 of Tales from a Disappearing City. I'm here with Gizelle. How you doing, Gizelle?
I'm good, Neil. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I know you're a little bit nervous about doing this. We just had a little shot of some nice whiskey just to start it off.
Nice smoky whiskey, yeah.
Some Lagavulin. If they want to sponsor the podcast, please feel free.
It's
Yeah, so nice to have you on today. We'll just start off where I normally start, just sort of beginnings of, like, you know, what your early sort of memories of getting into music and sort of stuff like that, and where did you grow up, and a little bit of background, just sort of stuff about you.
Well, you know, I mean, I've always music's always sort of been there. I mean, my grandfather, my mum's father, came to England with his wife from Gibraltar, and she was from Spain, and they came just before the First World War, and he wanted to make it as an opera singer. He didn't quite make it, but he still dabbled in his singing and performing. So they came, they had the kids there. My dad was sort of into jazz drumming. So in those early days, that's what he was into. Unfortunately, they split up when I was young, and I met him again when I was probably about 26, and he was still into it and doing some improvisational stuff. So it's in the genes. You know?
Do you remember him from when you were a little kid, or was it like you were super young, you were too young?
No, it's a bit of a sad story, really. They there's no contact, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but you know, it's okay, and it was just great to meet him again later in life, and I was, you know, sort of, that was in the early years, my DJing, and he sort of, you know, was just about to take early retirement, and as I said, take up this improvisational drumming with this outfit called Voltage. So yeah, it was interesting meeting him at that point. So, you know, sharing those experiences, you know.
You said your granddad was like opera singer, or he wanted to be, or?
Yeah, he wanted to be, and he did do a lot of singing, I suppose. I don't know, he had this other sort of Spanish friend who lived, I don't know where, I think it was Streatham or somewhere like that, and they used to get together and. Yeah, lots of singing, you know, like his friend Don playing the piano, and just, you know, getting into it. And I always have this vision of him with his.
So you have memories of this, of him singing along, or like
brushing
out?
A music room. They had a music room. My mother and grandfather music room, and he'd built. So you know, he had in that room. It was like a visitor's room, and he'd built like a sort of big sort of. I don't know, what do you call that, reproduction furniture, veneer stuff.
Yeah, okay.
But really old school veneer, so it really looked like veneer. But it was amazing, you know, built this sort of big cabinet where it had all the records, and then this bit you opened here, and it had all this, you know, the amp and the
Well, some of the old setups for playing, they're really impressive.
They were impressive, and he built these speakers. I always remember sort of, you know, thinking, wow. And they were literally that high, but in the walnut veneer cases.
Exactly. What was he playing? So he was playing opera out of these speakers. He wasn't.
Yeah, it was opera. There was like sort of Spanish music.
Okay.
And Matt Monro and Engelbert Humperdinck.
So I wondered how much bass comes from them speakers, from that music. Probably not a lot.
Not a lot, but yeah, he liked to play his music loud, basically, and they had a piano, which I always used to pretend I could play, and tinkering about with it. So it's just music, and at home back at the home with my mum and my stepdad at the time, you know, music, but sort of, I don't know. I mean, I grew up, you know, sort of started growing up in the 60s, showing my age now. So there's a lot, you know, I remember like the radio was good then, lots of Motown and all sorts of stuff. But I do remember listening to the Four Tops. You know, it's either I'll Be There or Bernadette, which came out around the time. It's just those discordant tones, and I literally do remember that. You know, when you have a little flashback to something.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You feel it, and
So if you still hear them tunes, it's still like, does it send you back to the when you're a little kid?
Absolutely, and then at home it was the 60s, so they had one of those little carry case, sort of red carry case record player, where you can put like a few requests at a time.
I used to have one of them. I used to love it. Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant, weren't they?
Yeah, it was kind of Spotify, like, you know, before queuing up your sevens.
Exactly. Put them in the queue. There we go. But I was, you know, I mean, I just learnt how to operate this record player. You know, I mean, I was an only child. So I had to entertain myself. Put me in the room with this record player, my Jungle Book record, and I had this other one with kids' hits, and then there were the family sort of, West Side Story and. You know, The Sound of Music and The King and I. Well, so all this sort of musical sort of stuff. And I loved the West Side Story because it's very jazzy as well. I thought that was brilliant. But Jungle Book was a winner. Yeah, I just used to put them on and just sort of dance around this, you know, just freestyling around this little record player.
That's where it all started, Gizelle.
That's where it all started, yeah. And I did some ballet, I think, at school. So, so music and dancing, I loved when I was younger, I think it freed me up a bit, actually. But I'm not good at busting moves nowadays, you know.
Okay, well, I'm not going to ask you to do that. Yeah. I was trying to get Uncle G to do some break dancing on the previous podcast. Yeah. Although somebody said they found like a VHS of like a dance competition he was in the mid-80s. So
excellent. Yeah,
so I'm trying to source that to put that online.
Brilliant. But, that's amazing because I love his story. I really do. You know, that's great.
So after the Jungle Book, what was the next sort of musical sort of thing after that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, where are we now? We're at age 5. I mean, when we were 7, we moved to Catford. Good old Catford. So I was on the edge of Catford by Downham, and so we moved there, and I think probably in my early teens I got my first, little cassette player. You know, those little cassette players where you can record things, and I don't think my cassette collection was very adventurous at all. I think, but I was young then, and I think I had the Wombles. And
I had some Wombles records. I've got to admit. I mean, everyone had a bloody Wombles record.
I know.
What was it about the
pillowcase?
Yeah, what was it about the Wombles?
I don't know, but they were great,
I was just looking because somewhere I have got a Womble that I found in a charity shop recently.
They were radical, They were living underground.
Exactly.
Wombling free,
Yeah. Yeah, weren't they the original? Green ecology,
exactly.
Picking up all the rubbish.
Exactly. So and then sort of upgrading, I think, to a sort of music, all-in-one sound system thing with your little telly, which I thought I thought I was stush having all these things.
Yeah.
And it was great, And then as well, I used to have one of those boom boxes. With the 2 cassette players in my teens, and I used to sort of record stuff off the radio, and kind of then record. So there was there's a thing where you could have 2 cassettes, and so you record the radio stations on one, and then record it again on the other one, taking all the talking and all the bits out. So
the DJ out.
Yeah.
That's illegal, Gizelle. That's bootlegging music, yeah?
Oh,
I
just wanted the music, so...
No, we all did that, and then there'd always be some twatty, normally Radio 1 DJ, whoever it was, ruin it over the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you were trying to cut out, was it?
Exactly, I was just kind of cut out the nonsense in between,
All right. Did you ever record any of your own shows, anything like that? Did you ever do anything like that?
What's that?
Record any of your own shows? Because I used to do that as a kid with like the tape recorder. I used to record.
Oh, right, no.
Well, all right.
Excellent.
I wish I still had some of them, but with my mate.
That was interesting. I bet that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I just used to muck about with that, and I used to, as well, sort of in my, probably moving a bit more to the late teens. But yeah, I used to have a lot of fun with that boombox. I used to sort of got into writing, songs ad hoc on the dub side of a Lovers Rock reggae record. You had the dub version on the other side. So I used to sort of...
So would you write the lyrics, would you? Or?
Yeah, I mean, they weren't very deep.
Do you remember any of these? Any lies, Gizelle?
No.
You're not going to sing us one now?
No, not at all.
Okay, all right. Were they little love songs, or were they a bit more like...
Yeah, I suppose they were probably about, they're probably sort of, teenage angst coming out.
If you had a crush on Darren or something, or...
Whatever it was. System. But no, so I used to do that.
So you would record singing, though? You would record yourself singing over the top?
Yeah, I would do that. And, I just used to... I don't know, it just sort of happened, really.
Yeah.
But then, growing up in my sort of... All through my teens, just used to... be putting records on and kind of got into a bit of disco, Donna Summer and and so there I was, singing the songs with my hairbrush. It's just an only child entertaining themselves with music in the bedroom,
Yeah.
So
What about Lovers Rock then? So that was that big on like where you were? Because like,
yeah, I kind of, to be honest, it just happened. I just sort of fell into. It's like those things when you're, on that path and you meet people and you just turn a corner.
Because I just know that's a very South London sort of thing, maybe not just South London.
I think it was. I mean, I got into buying, just records, just from shops in Lewisham and I don't know. I just kind of, I don't even know how I got into reggae. I'm like thinking about this. I mean, okay, probably through commercial influences. You had Janet Kay, didn't you? You had like Alfie and Donna doing Uptown Top Ranking. Then I remember going, to like a Clash concert at the Lyceum, Uptown, and there was Mikey Dread was supporting them. So it's those times.
You mean like punk band, the Clash you're talking? Yeah. So
it's all those times where sort of punk and reggae were they're kind of uniting and the sort of rock against racism stuff, and so there's a lot of that happening.
It's kind of rebel music, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there were sort of the influences, and also at home. I mean, my parents, my mum and stepdad, but they were listening to all sorts of music. On a Sunday would be the Sunday music session, but it'd be anything.
What was Sunday music then? You're very dismissive of the Sunday music. What was it? Church stuff or like? No,
it's just strange. It's just like that's the only time they played music.
Okay.
Was on a Sunday.
Really? All right. But what? It wasn't religious. It was just.
It wasn't religious, no. But I mean, I wouldn't say it was. It was interesting, I suppose, in some ways. But it was anything from. I mean, there was like the obvious Neil Sedaka and Neil Diamond.
Okay.
And
I know they really
Roxy
killed all the
music.
Neils. Yeah, exactly.
There was Roxy music. There was a bit of Gary Glitter before we knew what happened.
Yeah.
What he got up to, but Innocent Times. But then there'd be, the Beatles and all that sort of thing. But then there'd be like Grace Jones, and I always remember Private Life by Grace Jones, and it had that sort of, this kind of dubby sort of, reggae.
Yeah, it's an amazing tune, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh yeah, and I think those, I don't know, it's just all the little things that you're noticing, do you know what I mean? So,
Well, yeah, I guess when you're that age as well, exactly, you don't know what all the genres are, you don't like... No. You're just like, I like that tune.
Well, this is it.
That sounds weird, or you might not even call it reggae, or you not even know what it is. Like I said, Grace Jones, I don't even know. She's always quite a hard one to pinpoint anyway, because she could be a million different things,
well,
and that's
exactly. She can be disco, she can be reggae, or she could be whatever she wants to be.
Well, I don't know if you've heard her version of what's it? She's Lost Control by Joy Division. There's a version by Grace Jones which is absolutely fucking amazing.
Check that out.
And and she's covering that, and it's like.
Yeah. Oh no, I have heard that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But so there's all those sort of things, and of course, in those days, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have Spotify, we just had Top of the Pops, and the radio. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have any sort of cool older brothers and sisters, or that could, because some people do, that get inspired from what their brothers and sisters are listening to, and you share it. But so. And I think my friends as well, my best friend at the time was just into Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra.
God.
And I definitely wasn't into that. So it was just all, it was all a bit, I think we were all trying to find our way. And lots of things, coming through, like the two-tone stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I remember seeing Desmond Dekker with Madness at Lewisham Odeon. So there's all those sort of connections. I used to go to a record shop in Lewisham, so they didn't really play you the record beforehand. You just had to.
Do you remember what the shop was, or?
No, I think I think it was that one. It used to be in the Model Market.
Oh yeah, no, I used to go on there.
Oh no, the Model. Yeah, there's one in the Model Market, and there's one in the other bit as well.
I've got loads of good records in the Model Market one, but I think they're mostly second hand though.
Yeah. No, this was another one in the end of the Lewisham precinct.
All right.
Where there was a little bit where you could buy tunes, but. Yeah, and just our price and HMV, just taking,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just used to buy, I don't know why, I just sort of bought a few like these Lovers Rock tunes, and just used to, as I said, used to experiment, and then I sort of played this track that I'd recorded on my little boombox to this guy that I knew at the time, Basil, and he said to me, "Oh, my sister and her friend, they're setting up, they want to do some singing, and they've got a chance to do it, but there's something missing between their two voices, and I think you're going to feel that."
Amazing.
And that's what happened.
Wow.
Just slotted in like this sort of, yeah.
So how did he hear this tape, or you played it to him?
I just played it to him, yeah. I was just like, I just played it to him, and I was drunk, I think. And I'm feeling bold at the time. Oh, yeah, have a listen to it.
Yeah. Check out my demo.
God,
yeah. No, but it must have been all right if he liked it.
So, but, and there I was just, got to know Angie, who's still a really dear friend of mine since the age of 16, and Karen. And, we just started practicing, either mine or, actually more Angie's.
Do you want to say what the name of the group was? I don't know if you said
Charisma.
that. Yeah.
It's very Southeast London.
Yeah.
Charisma. But, it was of the time, and, I mean, it had its own sound. It was obviously a very UK sound. I mean, Angie, the lead woman, woman of colour, black woman, and us two backing white women backing singers. And at the time, I thought that was a good thing. Do you know what I mean? Because usually it's the other way round,
Well, there was very much like a split sort of scene of like, you did have the black music scene and the white music scene.
Yeah, so, I mean, when I look back, I think, wow, like, that was really brave. Because it's obviously a very sort of, it's a very sort of West Indian thing, but this was a British, Lovers Rock was a UK London thing, and it just organically happened. So I think when things organically happen, it's the right thing.
Yeah.
And it felt right at the time. We had a great time. So we used to practice above, I think it was King and City Record Shop in Deptford. And
was that on the high street, was it? Or
it's where Jenny's is at the top, where the anchor is?
Yes, I do, yeah.
The Jenny's.
Oh, okay.
That is opposite there.
Oh, yeah,
I think there's like some shops that are set back, and there's some that kind of, there's a few there just by a pub. So it's just on the top there, and Maxi Priest started there as well. But it used to be great, it's just it was such good times going there, and just One Blood used to do all the, the musicians, One Bloods, they were like a band of little brothers, and all played an instrument, and, they had their own, they were established in their own right as artists, and they were the backing band, And
what, for like loads of different people, or just
okay. Just go there and practice singing, and they'd learn the songs. And
well, that's almost like the Motown way, really, or like having a good house band, and then getting like a variety of singers and songwriters in, and like, sing along with the backing band, and obviously,
it was amazing.
Obviously, the backing band needs to be good.
Yeah, and they really were, and they were really like nice, gentle people. They weren't, they weren't like giving it. They were very, very.
All right, so it was like, because there is them sort of setups when it can be sleazy, or it can be sort of.
No, it wasn't like that.
So it was like, because obviously, how old were you then?
We was 16, 17.
Okay, well, obviously, that's like an age as obviously. I know. I'm not trying to get into any bad territory, but I'm just saying we all know at that age, if you're in the music business, there's a lot of
absolutely
bad things that can happen, but it wasn't like that. No, it was.
No, absolutely. And I do look back on those times. Yeah. Feel lucky, because it could have gone, it could have gone badly, but it didn't.
No, great, yeah.
There was no other motive in it than to get these
get the music
women in to do music, to do their thing. So yes, but there were great times. It opened up a new world, and I just kind of went with it. Really, we recorded. I think we had about four or five releases along the way.
So this is 12 inches and all that.
12 inches, yeah. We never got to the album stage.
Oh.
But that was great, and we did a lot of PAs in those days. When you released a tune, you would you go to club nights and they had the PA appearance.
All right. Do you remember what the first one was you put out, or?
The first tune was Something About You.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the first PA we did was in the Lewisham. I think it's not there anymore because it got knocked down when the everything else got knocked down, But I think it was called the Paradise Club or something like that. So
Okay.
I remember that was the first place we did a PA.
Yeah.
And we did a lot in Dalston, around that area as well.
Do you remember any of the venues, or like, is it a Blow, or is
Palm Tree Club, or maybe, and I think there was one in Clapton as well.
Yes.
And my memory's so vague.
No.
It's a long time.
No, again, look, that's all right, Gizelle. Like I said, I
Yeah.
know I'm like, exactly. But like you said, it's called the Palm Tree. That sounds very 80s,
Yeah.
I know there's one in Clapton. I think I know where that was, near the roundabout.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to go to some parties in Hackney in the 80s, and the venues aren't there anymore, and they all have them sort of names. And they'd either be soul clubs, reggae clubs, and some of them, they ended up being rave clubs in the Acid House because they were just like, they went through all the little variety. So
that's right, all the underground, the sort of different eras.
Did you ever play in Woolwich, or?
Later on with the DJing,
Because I remember there were some like dodgy ones in Woolwich that I remember I went a couple of times when I was 15, but I didn't really like it. It wasn't like my sort of vibe, you know what I mean?
No, it was great, and we did PAs. Like I remember doing a PA one night, and Dennis Brown was.
Yeah.
And I remember my partner at the time nearly stepped on his toe, and I'm like, no.
Right.
But and then we didn't do many, like live gigs. We did about 2 or 3.
All right. Do you want to just explain what the PA is then compared to like a live? Because it is a different thing.
I think it's a very 80s thing.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Because you used to have like soul clubs where people come over and they'd come and do a PA. Like I don't know, Joyce Sims or something. And singing, and you basically, you just sing over the top of your records.
Yeah.
And you would have a mic, so you're still kind of singing.
So it'd be the instrumental, the dub, or whatever, or.
Yeah, it'd be the instrumental, but I'm sure sometimes it was just us singing over the actual song. So.
You weren't miming though, you were singing.
No, we were singing, like we had the mics, but we were singing along,
Right.
So.
Did you do anything else? Did you like was it like a promo thing, or like, did you do any of that, or like?
What do you mean?
Because sometimes people throw out records or do all that sort of. Or they do like that. No, you didn't do any of that. All right.
No, we didn't get that far.
Okay.
And
is there any videos of these PAs up anywhere? That
no, thankfully, no. But I have got a photograph I can show you some point with a really bad hairstyle.
Okay.
And a dress, that's just. In fact, I found the dress recently. I don't cling on. I don't hold on to things too much. I am sentimental, but there's a line you got. But I actually found this dress.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, it's the Charisma dress.
Okay, cool. Right, I won't ask if you can still wear that dress, but okay.
No, not at all.
All right.
I'll probably forget to get my leg in it.
That's all right. All right, that's right. Sorry, I shouldn't have even gone there. Yeah,
So they were great times, and one we did, as I said, we did like about 2 or 3 live gigs, and one was supporting Barrington Levy. I can't remember. It was somewhere in southwest London. One New Year's Eve, which was just like, I was just completely overwhelmed, but went with it. But yeah, that was pretty amazing and pretty nerve-wracking as well. But it was good fun. Yeah. Good times. But like things change.
So you said you had about 4 records out, something like that?
Yeah, about 4. Yeah.
So that was over a couple of years or something like that?
It's over about 4 years.
Okay, all right.
I'd say about 4 or 5. Yeah, probably about 4. I can't remember.
Right.
Yeah, but it was good fun. It was good fun, and Neville King, who owned the label, it's mad. He's like, he plays at Deptford Dub Club now and then down at the Fox and Folk in Lewisham, and I'm just like, oh my God, he's still going, and he still dresses. He still wears his suit. He's always, he used to wear a suit.
Yeah.
With his little, afro, but always wears
Yeah, well,
a suit.
that's the cool 80s. Well, I was going to say jazz funk look, but yeah, soul boy look, whatever way you want to call it. I don't know what you'd call that scene.
Way, isn't it? We dress a bit smarter and
exactly.
Up, yeah,
no.
dress down, but it's
all right. Cool. All right. So what happened after Charisma then? What was once that sort of fizzled out?
Well, I think pretty. I mean, I think I was a bit. Yeah, I missed it. I missed that sort of being creative and music sort of connection, and I kind of tried to carry on with the singing, but I wouldn't say I didn't have. Angie was the one who had the good voice, and we were good at what we did, me and Karen, but I wasn't. My voice wasn't strong enough really to do anything else. So, apart from singing above, but. Yeah, so I dabbled a bit more, joined some, workshops and, just local sort of workshops and stuff. Dabbled a bit with a couple of mates, but then it just kind of fizzled out really. And then, sort of going out at the weekends as well, and not really, music wasn't rocking my boat. And then my friends had a great, fantastic little group of girlfriends, but they just wanted to go up the Old Kent Road all the time.
Right.
And it was just driving me nuts,
Okay.
I'm just like, I can't do this anymore,
Right. Where did you go out in the Old Kent Road? I used to live in the Old Kent Road, right in the middle of...
It's just like places like the Dun Cow.
Yes. I used to live actually opposite there.
What was the one where the Thomas of Becket...
Yeah. World Turned Upside Down.
Yeah, I don't think it was called that then.
Yeah,
it was called something else. But
all right.
all those pubs up the road.
No. But when I lived there, it was a nightmare.
I just felt like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was. I just felt like it was a bit of a meat market.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And everyone just going there. I mean, it was like everyone would go there for the late night drinks.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so everyone would turn up like really.
Well,
drunk,
yeah.
so
All
it was
the
a bit
pubs there were
messy.
open till 2 a.m. and like in South London, that was quite a big sort of thing.
But also around that time, I started working in bars in the evening and the weekends. So I used to work in the Mid-Kent Tavern in Lewisham, which is not there anymore. But that was a little pub right by the station. But now they've built the DLR, it's gone, But that was a tiny little pub. And and I always remember there used to be a DJ there. Wherever I went, there was always a DJ playing, and I used to think, oh yeah, a guy sort of thing, do you know what I mean? But it was sort of, and I used to think, God, I'd like to do that, that'd be fun,
Yeah.
But I didn't think any more than that, really. And then I started working in a bar in Deptford. So this is kind of sort of moving sort of forward quite a bit. So 1987. Yeah, so I was working the pub there and pulling pints, and there was a DJ who used to play his music at the end of the bar. So there's the techniques, but they were just set up at the end of the bar. And he left. So, and then one day, I made my way to work, got to work, realised I'd left my jeans drying on an airer right in front of a gas fire. And I was like, oh my God, I need to get back home. My house is going to be burnt down. So the owner of the pub, Tan, he was great. He said, yeah, don't worry, I'll get you. So we drove back to Lewisham from Deptford.
Right.
And lo and behold, the airer had kind of melted.
Oh my God, yeah.
I know. So, so obviously sorted that out. And I thought, I wonder if I'll ask him. And then I said, while I'm here, can I just grab some records? And he was like, yeah, go for it. So I just had a little plastic bag of records. Some albums, just some compilation albums, something funky stuff. And so I just that's what I used to do. He said, right, just bring some tunes with you again with you next time. So because the decks were on the end of the bar, I could just like pour the pints and change, do you know what I mean?
Perfect, yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
So that was great. And then he said to me, right, we're going to build a DJ booth now. And you're not going to pull pints anymore. You're going to... And I'm like, what? He said, yeah, that's what you're going to do. I'm like,
well, that's pretty cool. He did that. Like,
I know.
You must have been playing some half decent tunes then. Like,
yeah.
This wasn't the Jungle Book again, or
no, this wasn't the Jungle Book. No, I was just playing a lot of. I mean, I wouldn't say I had like amazing big record, but I was playing like, I had lots of sort of you know, I was playing a bit of Red Groove,
Yeah.
maybe sort of funky poppy stuff. You know, like Eric and Rakim. Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah,
sort of
I know. I mean,
thing.
I was really into all the Rare Groove stuff, which was kind of from like the mid '80s, before Acid House, and
Yeah.
and then all that early hip hop stuff,
Yeah,
like
that's-
Eric B and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It had
You know,
them.
there's lots of-
It had early breaks, but lots of funk, and then there's loads of bootlegs with like cut-ups of like.
Exactly. I mean, you had
James
loads
Brown
of
and-
and then you had all the Soul to Souls. You know, there was lots of things happening, and I think in the funky end of the world. So, yeah. So, I was just sort of kind of playing that, and but then I started hearing about, you know, the Acid House parties.
The evil Acid House parties.
Well, I remember I sort of met this guy, and he
Right.
was great. You know, he was brilliant. But he kind of just we kind of met, connected, and then he just disappeared. I'm like, where he's gone? You know, where is he? You know, what? I
Right.
can't never get hold of him. It was just at these sort of.
Okay.
I'm thinking, what are these bloody Acid House parties?
Right. So it wasn't another woman who was more at the Acid House party.
Yeah, no, well, it could be. I don't know.
Who knows? But
he
anyway.
he just kept going. Oh yeah, I went off to like Spectrum last night. I went off.
So what? And then you hadn't heard of this before, and then
No. So, but obviously now I have.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, wow, like
Do you remember what he was saying about him? Like, 'cause do you remember what piqued your interest, or what he was?
he was just saying about the vibe and, you know, like just. It's just, I mean, from, you know, it just like the new music.
Yeah.
You know, the atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? You know, people went to town. There was like lasers, you know, smoke machines. It was all going off. It was a whole experience. you
Right.
know.
Okay.
And,
Is that all there was? Yeah.
Yeah, and the rest, and of course the little naughty bits. But you know, and obviously, you know, I could see he was having a good time. I was a bit innocent then. I think I don't, you know, probably. I mean, I knew though he was taking stuff as well, but at the time I wasn't doing that. You know, I might be having a smoke, but that's about it. Or maybe there were other things along the way, but not to that extent.
It's
anyway.
all right. It's all right. Yeah. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not interviewing you under caution. Don't worry. That's fine. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
Officer Keating.
Exactly. I know. Officer Weirdness.
So I just, you know, I don't know what it is. You're just picking up a vibe. There was other people, you know, you could hear people sort of talking about it. Maybe there was, I don't think there weren't any art. It was just word on the street, you know.
Yeah.
And so me and my friends, you know, we were like at the pub because, you know, we were just, you know, we need to go and try out. We need to check out one of these parties. Are you up for it? Yeah, I'm up for it. So, you know, that thing. But then there was a party down at the venue, which was then the Harp Club,
Yeah.
and that was, I can't remember what the night. What was it called? Flip flop or something? No, God.
Was it or Flim Flam?
Flim Flam, that's it.
Oh, there we go. How did I remember that? I honestly don't know how I remember
yes,
that. Oh, wow.
Flim Flam.
Wow. Okay.
Was it Billy Nasty that put that on?
I don't know, but I surprised myself that sometimes these
Yeah,
things
it's
like.
amazing.
that
Well
was-
done, Neil. Blimey. So I went to Flim Flam, you know, so got a bit of taste of this.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is, you know. And then I was going to go to a night called Mad on Mondays at Greek Street. So my
Right.
friend at the time is a guy called Blaine Scanlon. I don't know this guy. I think he was putting on this night. But then, so I got on the train to go up to town, and you know, on my own, just go uptown on Monday night to go to this party. And then I bumped into my friend Harriet. In fact, it was bizarre. We were on the same train. I opened the door, you know, the old school sort of trains, and
Yeah.
there she was. I'm like, Harriet, Gizelle, where you going? And she said, oh, I'm going up to Spectrum. And I'm going, oh, well, I'm going Mad on Mondays, you know. And but then I think something happened. I think Mad on Mondays got shut down, or it didn't. So I was like, oh, sod it, I'll go
It
down
wasn't Mad on Mondays.
It wasn't at all. So I went down to Spectrum and found my friend Harriet there, and it was just, oh my God, it was just brilliant.
Was that down at the Sound Shaft, or was that
It was actually in heaven.
in heaven? Oh, in the main bit of heaven, yeah.
In the main bit of heaven,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was just, you know, I don't know what was going on, but it was just brilliant. And I'd been to that club before when I was 17, because I think we were having a conversation about this before, weren't we? Where it was predominantly a gay club with gay events, but you could go there. I think that was Tuesday or something where they allowed straight people in.
Well, I think for me, it was Wednesday was the mixed night. Pyramid.
Yeah, maybe it was Wednesday.
And that was the one that Colin Faber used to play at.
Right.
And then Mark Moore used to play that.
I think this was actually because this was earlier, so I think it was Tuesdays, and it might actually a gay night, gay event. But you could on Tuesday you could bring your mates.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But yeah, so I remember going there then and just being like amazed at this massive club and all these arches selling stuff.
The thing about the clubs then, there was loads of great clubs still, but most of them didn't have a great sound system, did they?
No, but this was...
So like, I remember this is pre-Ministry, and then Ministry tried to copy Paradise Garage.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But then Heaven literally did have a proper, if you like a New York club sound system.
It was amazing, know, and then you could go upstairs and just watch over, and there's all the rooms upstairs and all the little shops and things. It's just like, wow.
Well, I don't know if I told this on the podcast or not, but the thing I always remember at Heaven was like they had the sandwich bar in there, like they had where you could get a food, and I think I was maybe I wasn't innocent, but I wasn't really probably doing loads of stuff. So I'd have like a tuna sandwich at like 3 a.m. if you get a bit hungry or something. Obviously, maybe not the acid house night if you're going in your tits off. That's not a good idea. But I remember that though. You could get food in clubs, which seemed like a different sort of thing.
I know. That was just like that's weird. But I don't know. I just sort of went to Heaven. I literally went to Heaven.
We went to Heaven. There's a song in there. Yeah. You can start singing.
I always remember as well, queuing up. You just get really excited. I mean, the queues was just honestly, it's like Monday night. Yeah. It was the new Saturday night.
All right. Do you remember when the first time you went in? Then you went to Spectrum, and then because obviously,
Yeah, I just thought. I mean, I think that's obviously, probably what did blow me away. It was just the sound, and the music, and it was just so everything. It was just a very powerful experience, and because of the environment you're in, the space, the excitement of the actual venue historically, and the sound system and the lights, and the DJ was sort of up on the balcony bit.
Yeah, you could never really see the DJ.
No, it's like a booth. It's at the end.
You
of the
could
balcony.
sort of see the shadowy sort of figures up there.
Yeah.
But obviously, it wasn't like it wasn't like the shining lights and the DJ, and they didn't even really mention the DJs that much, did they? Then it was kind of.
No, but those. I mean, who was? I remember. It was the days of Paul Oakenfold and. I remember Lisa Loud and Nancy Noyes. I remember them. I think they inspired me. They were good, and they were strong girls, So I always used to sort of watch them from a distance, because.
You did have the Balearic stuff then as well, and that was obviously mixed in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And again, that's one of the things about the early acid house stuff that people, don't always realise is there was the tunes where it was like the bleepy 303 stuff. But then you'd have there was loads of Balearic tunes in the acid house scene. It's
just all the influence. It's just everything coming together at once, isn't it? You've got, people bringing Paul Oakenfold and the guys that brought over, I don't know if it's Paul Oakenfold, but I think he had something to do with it. They were bringing the sound over from what they'd listened to in America. Some were bringing the inspiration they'd found in the Balearic Islands of Ibiza, with all that, our DJ Alfredo style sort of mixing all different tunes up, different, to suit what's happening around you, and there was a lot of that going on, and a lot of people were joining the acid house thing from so many different walks of life. Do you know what I mean? It was weird. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you had the bit before, like I said, it was like the rare groove, it was the hip hop bit, and then almost like the switch flipped, and then it was like the housey sort of stuff come in. Yeah, no, totally. It's it was just a lot of influences from America, but it was just so fresh and exciting, So they were good times, and a real melting pot of all sorts of people from all different walks of life, different classes, different, origins, and I think I just loved going out.
All right. So what other clubs then, apart from Spectrum and Future? You said.
There are all sorts. I mean, I think I might have gone to the Mud Club at the tail end of all of that.
All right. Yeah, I used to go regularly to the Mud Club. I used to love the Mud Club.
So my friend Harriet, she was a regular there, and I think she was sort of.
So you got in okay? Did you pass Philip on the door?
Yeah. And I think as well, because Shun was down, originally down at the fitness.
Yeah.
Then I think it moved up to Busby's as well at one point. Or one of those clubs in Charing Cross Road. And I remember, being in the queue going, oh, am I going to get in or not? And I remember, Jenny Rampling, you can come in. I was like, oh.
Yeah, there you go.
So, it was like that. It was very strange. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really the acid house vibe. It's not meant to be, is it?
No, but that, that's the sort of tail end of the 80s, isn't it?
No, for sure.
Clubs were a bit like that, cliquey in some ways. Do you know what I mean?
100%. No, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's supposedly like the housey stuff's meant to be like, everyone dancing under one thing and not being like that snooty. Because definitely there was that There was definitely a thing that was more the West End clubs, i.e. Soho and all around there.
Yeah.
Where you did have people on the door and it was hard to get in.
Yeah, well, I used to go to the WAG probably about 22, 23.
I used to love the WAG, yeah.
And that was a brilliant place.
That was the same thing. I mean, I mean, you had to look cool to get in. I mean, obviously, I always got in, obviously, but if you didn't look cool, you might not get into the WAG.
No, that's true. That's very true. So we did well. So. But that was always my fear. Am I cool enough? I think I've just always lived with that. Am I cool enough?
Right. Okay.
But it's fine. And so so clubs, so just lots of clubs like Clink Street. Loved Clink Street, down in London Bridge.
What are your memories of Clink Street?
I mean, I'd already started DJing around that time, so I was just soaking things up as well. But my memories, maybe the memories are blurry. That's fine.
I
have my the best memories really is just arriving there.
Yeah.
And just like people, it was like everyone they just had to get in there. And there was.
I know what you mean by that, actually. I know what you mean. Sometimes the more memories I get in there, because once you're in there, you just sort of got lost in the sort of. You did get lost in the night because of the smoke and the lights, and suddenly you're staggering out and it's 5 or 6 in the morning, and then. But
it was just people were climbing up the drain pipes.
Right.
Some people had like a little, like they're like time out. Rolled under their arm saying, "Oh yeah, I'm from Time Out. I'm doing an article." And
really
getting like that. I saw a guy climbing up the drain pipes trying to get into the toilets.
Right.
Yeah, but once in there, it was just pretty amazing. The music, to be honest, that's a bit of a blur. No. Obviously a good night, but fine. I remember that the music was, and that's Mr. I mean, all I remember is Mr. C really, but it was class.
It was a bit more hot.
Class of its own.
It was a bit more heavy, I think, down at Clink Street. As in, it was a bit more. It was less.
Oh yeah.
It was less of the Balearic vibes.
Yes.
It was a bit more of the smoke machine, flashing light, and some jacking weird fucking spaced out acid tune with people out of their heads.
So that was a sort of very inspiring.
No tuna sandwiches down at Clink Street, I believe, at 3 in the morning.
No. But it was mad.
So place. You said you started DJing then as well, or this is not like the pub you're talking about, or did you start?
Well, I started DJing at the pub.
Yeah.
And then, so that was 87.
Yeah.
Then sort of 88, kind of discovered acid house. My, first experienced acid house, let's say, more to the point. But and my musical taste just changed overnight. Winston's bar in Deptford didn't know what hit them.
Okay, all right.
I literally was like, sort of buying, But I mean, the thing is, I had a bit of I wasn't very. Record shops made me feel a bit, like the independent record shops. I found like a bit like, oh, I can't go in there.
Well, we talked about that with Rachel in the last episode. how like some of them were a bit like boys' clubs.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and she said that when she was at Ambient Soho, she'd have some people come in because it was, if you like, it was less stressful buying records from her than maybe going into black market and stuff like that. All right. So I mean, did you find that like as being like a woman going into the shop, like you said, particularly the independent ones, because they were the cool ones, and they'd almost like look at you if you were like.
Oh, I could feel it. I think, you know, and obviously I was sort of, I just felt really conscious of myself, and I didn't have enough sort of like raw to sort of, you know, sort of overcome it. I think it took me a long time. That's madness, isn't it? Really?
Well, no, it is. I mean, I was nervous going in shops, but you know, as well when I started until you knew the people in there, and so it is one of them, and it is funny when you're thinking like some prick in a record shop to make you feel like that, you know.
But I just think I just used to somehow find out what the tunes were, and just somehow find them. So, you know, like HMV in Oxford Street had a really big sort of import section. So I just used to go hunting for at least the cool, what I thought were the cool tunes, you know. But obviously, you know, they were probably, maybe they were the obvious ones, but they were the ones that, you know, so I was just building that collection of tunes that made everyone, you know, that stood out. You know?
Yeah, I mean, again, it was obviously the pre-internet thing of, you weren't quite, again, with some of that music, you'd hear the tunes and you weren't quite sure what they were.
Yeah.
And you would be like, because I bought some like terrible acid house records because I was just like, it says acid on it.
Yeah,
it must be cool. And
especially in that shop in Lewisham.
Exactly.
I'd just be like, get home and like,
Exactly, yeah. I mean, there's some of the UK ones. There's a few UK acid ones. There's some good early UK acid ones, but there's a couple of really appalling ones when I was just like, fucking hell, what's this shit? And like, but because it had a smiley on an acid house, you're like,
exactly.
You're like, this has got to be amazing.
I've got to have it.
And then sometimes, you almost like, it was hard to get them to play the record for you, or you'd be almost a bit embarrassed of like, you almost had to be like, oh yeah, I know what that is, I'll just buy that. Yeah.
But I did, but then, you know, I did start going to, do you know, I was trying to think of what the name of this record shop was, but it was in Berwick Street, but as you come along Berwick Street from Oxford Street end, it was kind of one of the first, it was one of the, you know, there's like a long strip.
Yeah.
You know, I know there's like, what was it, Sister Ray and...
Sister Ray and Reckless.
But it was, I can't remember what it was called. I used to go in there, and they used to have a lot of imports, and so I just, you know, I bite the bullet, as you say, and went in there, and so that was my first sort of, you know, independent record experience, you know, like a dance focus. So that was good. So I used to start, you know, buying a lot of stuff there as well, and later on, there was a shop in Lee High Road that used to sell videos. But the guy who worked there, Joe, he was into his music, so he used to sell records there as well. And I discovered that, and he was brilliant. He used to really, you know, have a load of records, say, "I'll try this," you know.
Yeah.
So that was later on. So, but you know, going back to Winston's, playing in Winston's, you know, it's, as I said, the music just changed overnight.
So how did the clientele react to like acid house coming to Winston's or like?
Well, I think I just used to sort of slip a few of them in, and I did do like a little acid house night there, a one-off, with a smoke machine and some lasers, hired them out.
Right.
There weren't many people.
Okay.
But it was cool, and but then, you know, so obviously things are changing, and my friend Richard contacted me and said, "Oh, you know, my friend Colin is going to be putting on a night at the Harp Club, which is now the venue, and you know, you've got the tunes, you can DJ." I'm like, really? I can't mix, but yeah.
Well, I'm not being funny, but back then you could get away with that because most people
could get away.
Absolutely. Because most people didn't.
Everyone was innocent. It was all new to
people. Didn't really know what the mixing was.
No, absolutely.
And again, I'm not dissing your mixing skills back, but you know, because I'd have been the same, and like I'd play, but people didn't really know what that meant.
No, absolutely.
I remember the only well, I'm interrupting your story, but like,
That's all right.
but what I say is, I remember going to a club in the mid-80s, well, and it was a gay club that I went with a girlfriend of mine. We ended up there, and I was just amazed hearing the records that
Yes.
there was no break.
Yes, that was enough,
And
wasn't
I was
it?
like, what?
Yeah, that's a continuous, exactly.
Yeah, exactly, that continuous sort
And
of
that's
flow.
what we did. That's what we did.
And
We
some of
just
them
slammed
clubs
them
were doing
in.
it, but most of the acid house ones, it was like the hip hop thing of just play one after the other, or
Yeah.
they're really sledging out. But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, go on. You were approached about this gig.
Oh yeah, so and so I'm going from a little bar in Deptford, probably playing to only about 20, maybe 30 on a good night, but
Yeah.
that was maximum really.
Yeah.
And the odd hen night as well. That's another story.
Okay.
But yeah, so as I said, my friend said, oh, do you want to come and play? We've got another guy, Jason, who's gonna he can do some. And I was like, yeah, all right. You're young. You're just I'm up for it.
Yeah, you just do it.
And,
Exactly, yeah.
But it was like it was just mental. There was about 400 people in there. The decks in the main bit was an old mobile disco unit, belt driven as well.
Right.
It's just, so there's no mixing on that. It's literally.
Well, I think
the
Uncle
all
G
one
told that
mobile
story
DJ
as well
unit,
about getting a gig and he turned up and it was one of them.
Yeah, and I'd be
'Cause-
like playing a tune and the belt had just come off that deck, so they'd have to quickly getting it. I was just madness, and it was really crazy because you just had this sort of little mobile disco unit, but then outside there was like big massive speakers chained to the balcony and smoke machines and lasers cutting through, but we had this little
Yeah.
Fisher
yeah.
Price.
No. It's well, again, yeah, the people who ran them clubs, they didn't really know what
They didn't know, but it's just crazy because, and then upstairs in a bar upstairs was Billy Nasty doing a Balearic side of it all.
Oh, okay.
And and he was playing all sorts of things, but they had techniques, but then we had this, but I
Okay.
think there might have been Billy's decks actually. So.
He probably brought his own because that's the
Yeah.
only way you could do it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I used to go there in the more like the mid-80s and I'd always end up in the upstairs bar that was the Irish bar upstairs.
Yeah.
That was always quite mad. You end up like, there'd be like all like alternative disco downstairs, and I'd always end up drinking with some Irish music with the old school Irish. It was great. It was more fun up there a lot of times than downstairs to listen to a moody goth tune. I'd rather be upstairs, drink some Guinness with all the old Irish crew.
Yeah, absolutely. So and it was like that, the owner. Yeah, actually had that. I mean, I'd never been to that venue before then.
Yeah.
But it was another world.
So how often did you? Or how long did you play there, Gizelle?
I think that carried on. About 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
And then and I stopped playing at the bar in Deptford. I mean, I think it closed. I think Winston's closed down as well.
So yeah, what was the night called at New Cross?
So it's called Asylum, and it was just the flyer was just like a little business card. It was just Asylum,
Okay.
the Heart Club, nothing else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
woo.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was great. So we were there. It was called Asylum, and as I said before, there was myself and another DJ, Jason, playing, and that was there for 3 to 6 months, and then Colin moved it to Woolwich Polytechnic, and I think there might have been some sort of connection for him with Woolwich Poly as well, because he was in the band Conflict as well.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, is
so,
that Colin? I see. Yeah.
so-
Okay.
But I think it was a thing where he would, he'd get people in to do the Friday night. So
Was it in the basement or?
Yeah, it was in the basement.
Yeah,
of Woolwich
okay.
Poly. And
Yeah.
so every Friday night there was different people doing sort of music that like acid house type sort of stuff. My night was called Shaboo, and I got the name off the back of a matchbox packet. But
Right.
funny enough, I found out that in 1990, DJ Sasha had a
Okay.
night, or played at a night called Shaboo in Blackpool. So I'm wondering whether they got
They
the
had
name from the same.
They had the
from
same
a packet of matches.
same box of matches, yeah. Right, there we go. Yeah.
So, you know, but yeah, it was short-lived. There was a lot of competition, and I didn't think that they were impressed with the numbers, I suppose.
Well, it was one of them things. I think when the Acid House thing come out, it's like anything. All the people around the clubs were suddenly like, "Oh yeah, we have to do an Acid House night."
Yeah, and they think they're going to make money.
And obviously, because again, it was all the headlines in the papers were like thousands of people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and people were like, brilliant.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And I was saying this to Uncle G. I think that there were some parties. There was loads of parties you went to. There wasn't loads of people there.
Yeah.
And like, we still had a great night, but it was just like, but people would go put the name Acid House or something. Just because they thought they had to, and they'd put a smiley and just like,
that's it.
And you'd go in there, maybe the music would be like, oh, this ain't fucking Acid House, or maybe, to be honest, you know, I'm not even sure if I was that much of a purist, but I know sometimes it definitely wasn't Acid House.
Yeah, so I know. But there was a lot of, there were, I mean, there always is, isn't there, you know, but there were sort of some people that I suppose thought that they could make some bucks out of it. You know, because there were some people, you know, you were moving into that territory now where you have like the party crews, you know, like you have...
I mean, if you're in proper venues, I mean, let's be honest, if you run a venue, you want people in your venue on a Friday and Saturday night. So so they do want punters in. It's fair enough, but like, yeah.
But so I mean, you know, it wasn't a complete flop, but it didn't last that long. I think I only did about two down there, really.
Okay.
But it was fine, do you know what I mean? So, but then after that, just sort of going out and hanging out, I think my raving partner Harriet at the time, we met a couple. They did a night called Coozz, which is COOZ, and they were doing that at a club in Green Lanes in North London, and they were going to originally have Terry Farley from Boyzone, and I can't remember, they had like Shock Sound System. And I think the rapper from Shock Sound System was who did the rapping on What Time Is Love for... KLF, yeah. So, another DJ, but I can't remember his name, and Mr. C. So, you know, that was another sort of scenario I found myself in. I felt actually quite out of my depth, but it was really good experience.
So they asked you to play there?
They said, oh yeah, you know, because, you know, I suppose... there weren't many people sort of playing the music then, do you know what I mean? It was building up and people were getting into it, and I still wouldn't say I wasn't a great mixer at all, so it was still very early stages, but you know, I was just up for any challenge, I suppose.
No, but I mean, I had some gigs like that as well. It's part of the thing of just being in the right place and people saying, you got some records, you play tunes, come and play some tunes.
And if you love doing that, you're going to say yes, aren't you?
Exactly. I mean, I had a similar thing, playing things where you just didn't really know what I was doing, but I just ended up.
Yeah.
And that's great, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started playing there every Friday, I think it was, or every Friday, every fortnight, and that was great. That was a real sort of a learning experience, I suppose, because, you know, Mr. C, but that was just before the Rip days, or at the sort of beginning of his playing at Rip at Clink Street in North London, where, you know, different places. So I was playing sort of acid house, more housey stuff, you know, probably quite obvious stuff. Do you know what I mean? The hits. And Mr. C would come and play his, you know, sort of cooler stuff. But yeah, no, he was great and very confident as well. And you could see that he was really, you know, he's very focused and very driven. But, you know, the club night, after probably about 6 months, it's kind of the numbers were going down. I remember they filled up the dance floor with like a bouncy castle or something.
What, to get little kids in?
Well, we were all little kids.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point, Gizelle. Yeah,
exactly. Little fellas, you know.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah.
So in the end, you know, that kind of, you know, stopped. The night stopped at the Green Lanes. But then they did do a night in the WAG, and I did play at one of those, and I was sort of warm. I mean, that was like, wow. But I was warming up for... Mr. C was playing Evil Eddie Richards and Colin Favor, so I felt really...
Yeah, that's a good lineup.
That's a good lineup. Yeah. So I was a bit like, woo, okay.
It's cool you played at the WAG.
Only once.
Well.
Yeah. But Yeah, no, I did, and but all these, I wasn't, amazingly confident. I mean, I wouldn't say I wasn't a great mixer at all, but I was tidy. Do you know what I mean? So, I wasn't going to attempt anything, on the night. I might attempt more when I'm practicing and the galloping horses might be happening, but no, I kept it tidy.
Well, I remember with vinyl,
and,
you'd have to practice a lot more, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
and it was that, and it was important. I remember early sets I did, like early 90s and stuff like that, when I started actually, because when I first started DJing, I'd just be playing random funk and hip hop tunes and almost just, in the 80s, just doing that. But when you started mixing them, you'd almost, I remember a lot of times I'd work out the first 4 or 5 songs, I'd know the pitch, so
exactly.
I know this one's +4, and this one's because then I'd and it's quite a good little tip anyway, because you're less stressed
sort out the first. I always used to do that first. Sort out the first 3 tunes.
Exactly, yeah.
And then I'd take it from there. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's a really good. I mean, even now, that's a good way. If you know your first 2 or 3 songs, then all right, you can just go from there.
Beginning. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, So after Coozz, I think there wasn't a lot happening, but still going out and having lots of fun. And
do you remember what sort of year that was? I know year's always hard, but
so this is we're probably in about 1990 now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 89, 1990, and I remember going to a party at the Labyrinth, and having a good old rave up there. And me and my partner at the time, we got talking to this guy, but he was a part of there was a woman doing the lights there. And we just got talking to both of them, and they were really nice, really cool. And he said, "Oh, so what, you play records then?" We're just chatting, and he said, "Why don't you come? We've got this sort of warehouse place. I think it was in like Commercial Street, Commercial Road, around that area." And he said, "Yeah, just come to the party with some friends, bring some tunes." So I was like, "Okay." So I didn't know what to expect. You remember, I'm a right sort of Southeast London girl. I'm not like alternative at all, or
right.
We went there with my friends, and it was just massive warehouse, really tall. Piping everywhere, and as soon as we walked in, it was just like, oh my God, this is wild. Like, there were people, on acid, climbing up all the drain pipes like Spider-Man, and little kids, like little sort of traveller sort of kids with little prams, going around freaking out all the adults, like sort of doing sheep sounds. And, they knew what they were doing. They were just, but it was just amazing. It was like, and obviously all the creations, the cars, the mutant sort of.
So what was the party?
Sculptures.
You didn't say what it was.
It was a Mutoid Waste.
Yeah.
Sorry. So it was a Mutoid Waste party.
Yeah.
And it just blew me away. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, what I was hearing, anything. Because me and my friends were just there going, wow.
Because that's a different vibe than like the...
Different vibe, absolutely, and it was wild, and there was just so many amazing characters, and I've just never seen anything like it. And obviously all the sort of sculptures that they did, I was just like, wow, this is amazing. But I was pretty overwhelmed, and
in a good way, or like...
in a good way.
But it's sort of, it sort of opened up a new world.
I was a bit like, ooh, what's all this about? And I remember they're like, this guy, we said, oh, hello, there's the caravan over there. There was like this little caravan in the middle of the deck's in there.
Okay.
Just feel free any time. And I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. And I was just like, I was a bit too shy.
Okay.
I was just like, oh no, I think I'll just enjoy the party.
Did you not play any tunes?
I didn't play any tunes.
Oh my God.
I was just so overwhelmed.
Should have got the lovers rock on. Yeah,
get the lovers rock on. Yeah.
Put your cassette on.
I also it felt really chaotic as well.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So I was just a little bit like, I just felt out of my comfort zone.
I know, fair enough.
But I'm so glad I was there.
Yeah.
And inspired by, you know, that experience. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it didn't bother me not playing records. It's just like, wow. You know, and so I had Angie, who I was in the Charisma with, her and a partner, Rob. They came with me.
Okay.
Me and who I was with at the time. And, you know, like we just went back afterwards and we were just like, what was that?
That's a bit different than the PAs you did down in Lewisham back in the 80s.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the only time that Angie and Rob came out.
Okay.
To an acid.
Right.
Anything like that,
Okay.
you know. So yeah, that was. I think it might scare them off, but I thought it was brilliant anyway.
It didn't scare you off though.
No, not at all. So kind of after that though, you know, I kind of took a bit of a step back around 1990 because, you know, just sort of splitting up, coming out the end of a relationship.
Yeah.
But you know, things were changing. You know, the UK, you know, UK sort of underground was responding to you know what was happening at the time with all this different sort of melting pot of dance music. Things were changing.